Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. It's Jess here, and it is a fun day up in here. You are going to love today's guest. Anna Murphy is sitting with me today, and she's just such this beautiful bright light. You would love her hot pink sweater she's wearing today, and it is just going to be such a fun episode. Welcome, Anna. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I adore you, obviously, so I'm so excited to be here.
I adore you. I remember when I first saw you at that event that we met at Shift with Gina and Emily last January, which is wild. And you had the coolest outfit on. And I remember watching you and just thinking like, wow, that woman is confident. Like she is herself. And it's the coolest thing when other people can see that too. But I'm wondering how you felt internally in that season too. Were you just as confident as I was seeing you?
I think I just live in this absolute delusional fantasy of myself at all time. I, I was. I feel good. I think that I always dress in a way that makes me feel like an extended version of myself. And I love to project that in rooms with people because what a great way to introduce yourself. To be like, I'm
Yeah.
here and I am open and I am authentic and I'm welcoming you to be the same.
And I think it is just really on brand for you. So can you tell everyone who you are, what you do? Tell us about your unconventional life and how you're living over there.
So I am in St. John's, Newfoundland. I live with my beautiful, amazing partner, Chad. And I have so many things on my plate in my crazy, wonderful life. I own a clothing store called Yellow Rose, downtown St. John's. It's all handmade, hand-dyed, painted, block printed clothing. And the whole brand and aesthetic is all about just feeling like you can find special pieces that, again, feel like an extension of an authentic you. That's always really important for me. And also creating spaces for people to feel comfortable in my clothes and also to come shop at Yellow Rose. I also own a fairly new brand called Creative Spark, and I do social media branding for weddings and events, small businesses. And that has been a small baby that I am taking on as I start to work less in my store. So that has been a interesting transition process for me because normally I am at my store all the time. So that's been really exciting. I also am the executive director of the Newfoundland and Labrador Rose of Tralee, which is an amazing Irish cultural organization that sends a representative from Newfoundland to Ireland every 2 years to participate in the Rose of Tralee Festival. It's if you can imagine somebody coming from, there's 65 centers around the world, sending this beautiful, amazing person who loves to volunteer in their community, is open to new experiences, is supportive of other women, is successful in her own right, which looks different for other people. And we send them all to Tralee in Ireland every August to be best friends and experience this big, amazing festival together. So it's a big life-changing thing that I got to do in 2016. And now I'm creating that opportunity for women with an amazing committee of volunteers just to keep that opportunity going here in the province. And I also am with Steph Dawkins on Wine Women Wellbeing. We are a chapter creating amazing events here in the city. So I always have lots of things on my plate. I dance, I'm creative. Yeah, I'm just a little hurricane, I think, that's just doing all the things that fills my heart as much as I can.
I like to picture women's lives in general as a plate that you have at the Chinese food buffet.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, all the things that you're doing, it's another scoop of really delicious food on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
And your plate sounds like there are some chicken balls that are about to fall off. There's a lot on there.
Well, thankfully, I have a partner that loves chicken balls, and he always helps me eat them if I can't and supports me the best I can. I have such an amazing circle of my family, amazing friends, amazing partners. So that kind of allows me to live this amazing life.
And has it always been like that for you? Like, what got you to where you are, especially to starting your business, the Yellow Rose? Like, what got you to there? Has it always looked this like supportive and loving and fresh for you?
I mean, I feel like my life in a lot of ways, like I'm 32 years old. I feel like I am a 600-year-old sea witch or something. I feel like I've lived a million lives in this 32 years. And, when I was growing up, I was definitely the chubby girl. I started puberty really early. I have been 5'6" since I was in grade 4. I was always a tall, big girl back then. And now I'm like a pretty average girl, but pretty average in size. But at the time, when you're in grade school, a woman-sized human is not who you expect in a classroom setting. So I always had a lot of problems with bullying, and I never felt very confident in my body because I couldn't find clothes that were for children in my size, of course. And so you're always kind of an other in your spaces. But I played soccer. I played soccer a lot. I loved it. Played all-star soccer. And then I always had like a community of people that were celebrating me for a reason that was because of my body, but at the same time had nothing to do with my size. And I think that was kind of the start of when I realized community spaces could fuel me. Now, I mean, I didn't know it looked like that at the time. I didn't know what that meant, but like I felt good in that welcoming space. And then I joined debate when I was in junior high. I was this shy little pea, and I really think about debate as a place that changed the trajectory of my life. Learning how to speak in rooms of people, learning how to get behind, research that you've done and ideas that were yours. That was the first time I ever felt like I was learning how to articulate myself in a way that others would listen to. And that really changed my confidence. It led to, doing student council and spirit leader and like all of these amazing opportunities that I put my hand up for as I was like growing up. And it let me develop this habit that really continues to be so true for me is that I am constantly saying yes. And I'm saying yes for opportunities that people are putting in my path. And I think that an amazing thing that I have fueled in myself is that I am delusional enough to believe that I can actually do it. Like I no longer struggle with feeling, oh, you're holding yourself back from these opportunities because I truly believe I could do it. Now, sometimes it means my Chinese food buffet plate has too many things on it because I believe I can do all of the things, which is a thing
Yes.
I'm working on in counseling, but that's another idea. Um, but it just allows me to kind of stick up for myself because I had so many moments like through those years and in university when I felt like I was living for somebody else's truth and somebody else's story, pleasing my parents' story, which, that's all internal, really. That wasn't them necessarily. That was a perception I had of myself for them. And I was just like not living super authentically and was depressed and sad and not feeling good in my body. But like as I began to learn how to articulate my voice and feel confident in my words and my brain, those were the things I was putting forward when I couldn't feel confident in my body or myself. And that I was doing business in MUN, planning on going to business school, planning on going to med school. And I was kind of just like going through the phases, checking all my boxes. And my partner said to me one day, I love you. I support you so much. But I just wanted to like let you know that you cry like every single day. Like, do you realize how much you're crying? Because it's like a lot. And I was like, oh, I actually didn't really realize how much I cry.
Every day.
Every day. I was crying a lot. And I got wine drunk with my mom and I told her, I don't think I can do this. Like, this med school thing, it's not for me. I was working in clinical research at the time. Like, it was a whole thing. And so I applied to a whole bunch of art schools and I got into a whole bunch of art schools. And I was in my early 20s and I had this guy that I was dating. And I just wasn't sure I was ready to move across the country or move to another province all by myself. So I did the textile studies program that's offered here in Newfoundland at the College in the North Atlantic. And I said, I'll just do this for a year and then I can transfer when I'm feeling more confident and ready to go on my own. And that program was like a big family. And we learned all of these incredible textile designs, and we learned how to have product development and learned how to make products for stores and have a business plan and do all these amazing things. And I graduated with a whole business. And I just kept going after that. I moved to different places and opened different stores. And, Yellow Rose really has become an extension of me in so many ways. This family that I have built from Yellow Rose, my customers, and yeah, it really has taken me on a special path. And it's like so deeply imperfect. I'm a very imperfect business owner in so many ways, but I just like keep learning and keep trying to do the best I can. And I try to just do that in like every aspect of my life.
I love that so much. I think often the outside world sees this beautiful picture, right? They just see that one version of you. They just see the finished product. Same thing like as goes with some of the clothes that you make, right? We just see the finished product. We don't always see the process that goes into making that happen. And it's beautiful to see all those layers, because those are you who are listening right now who are in like the mucky part, the hard part, the crying every day part.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't always realize that something so beautiful is coming on the other side of that too, right? We just think like everyone else has this figured out and I do not know anything. And so watching you in that and like learning those pieces of your story is just like really beautiful to see more layers of you and more layers of the things that are on your Chinese food buffet plate.
I'm going to have to get Chinese for supper this week.
I'm like super hungry now, so I think we probably do need it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love watching you shine in so many ways. Like you have this beautiful, creative, magnetic energy, and I knew that the day I met you. So what's really cool now that I know these other pieces of you, and that's not something that you've had your whole life, like what would you tell to that version of you from even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, who didn't have this? Like, what would you tell them today that would help them to take that next step?
When I think of like a version of myself that I would love to talk to, I very specifically think, and I think this is really relatable for a lot of people, I think of this girl who was sitting on the floor in her little basement apartment, struggling to keep the lights on, not much in the fridge. And I was sitting in like the mountain of clothes that I had, and none of it fit. And I felt horrible. And I was like, I am the grossest entity on planet Earth. I am the grossest thing. And that was like very much a rock bottom moment for me, especially in like how I felt about my physical self and like my spirit. And I feel like that is definitely a space that I thought I cannot live like this anymore. And I started working on myself. And I just like, I wish so much that that version of me could see who I am. And it's not that there hasn't been a million gray days or like in the muck since then, but I now know that I can count on myself. And I can trust that I have been through the muck a million times in so many different ways. And I am still here in my like pink sweater doing this amazing podcast with this beautiful person. And, people think of my business in great ways. And I am contributing to the lives of people who are important to me. And I would not be able to contribute to myself or others in the way that I can now without having been through that muck. And I think like that is so important to our journeys, that the ups and the downs are just as important along the way. It's not just the sunny days.
Yeah, especially when you're in Newfoundland. It's not just the sunny days.
There's no sunny days lately.
But I love your perspective on that, because you have been leaning into like loving the gray days too, which is really, really cool. And so I want to talk about body confidence for a bit too, because again, when I see you, I don't see this like muck. I don't see this like these difficulties that you had. I just see your beautiful burlesque dancing on the internet, and I love when you shake your butt. So what got you from that crying, no, none of my clothes fit, everything sucks, life sucks, to where you are now, a person who creates clothes for women and for all people, and like a person who gets on stages and dances and shows her butt off and wears her fishnet leggings. Like, how did we get from there to here?
Well, I think that like, just for people who don't know me, I am like a size 14, 16. I have been this size for like for a while, like give or take a few sizes, you know. Um, and I did not necessarily grow up in like a household or with women around me that spoke kindly of their bodies. And those women don't talk of very kindly of their bodies now. I am the one that's kind of like, give that up. There's, you know, you are the most beautiful thing in this whole world. Give it up. I, you know, everybody's had a different journey, but I guess I kind of just like realized at a certain point that I was spending so much of my day and my time focusing on how I personally felt about how much fat content was on my bones. Like, imagine spending 50% of your day crying about something that you could change or feel differently about. Instead of going outside and spending time with my loved ones, learning something new, listening to music, I was spending time thinking about how horrible I was. And like, how dare I? Like, how dare I talk about myself like that? I would simply never promote or allow anyone who I love or care for to do that to themselves, because it's just like a form of torture that lives in your brain, which is the worst place that can live. And I just started to think, well, you know, if I absolutely hate my arms or if I absolutely hate my stomach, I will love this shirt, this silly floral shirt, more than I hate my arms. So I would find, I really got into like finding clothes that felt like a part of me or like I really, really enjoyed. So I was happy to kind of show off the shirt. I wasn't as worried about my arms or my belly or something. And learning to just dress myself in a way that made me feel like it was an extension of like my soul or my spirit, I started to forget about the arms and the belly. And then I moved from forgetting the arms and the belly to thinking, oh, you know what? My arms and my belly are actually things that help me do all of these amazing things in my life. And, you know, then I started thinking, you know what? I actually like my body. Oh, God, that's really kind of weird. And so it's like I was just slowly picking away and chipping away at like my thinking about it. It wasn't that I just said, oh, well, I'm perfect, you're right, and just I'm just going to love myself as I am. That was not how it worked at all. It really was like a chipping away. And I think like the biggest thing for me in developing confidence was giving myself proof every single day and evidence that I wasn't a piece of shit, which was how I really felt about myself in that moment. It's like, here is evidence against your thoughts towards yourself. And I guess that probably comes from debate. It was like, here is the proof, here's my 4 points that I need to prove my point. And that became growing my business and volunteering. It was like I was fueling myself so that I could start to feel better about who I was as a person. And just before the pandemic started in 2020, all of my girlfriends have been dancing in this dance program. At the time, it was called Army of Sass. It was across the whole country, and it was like a franchise. And Heidi Downton had the local franchise here. One of my friends was a teacher. A bunch of my other girlfriends danced in it, but they had danced all growing up. I played soccer. When I wasn't playing soccer, I played rugby. I used to run a little. I certainly didn't dance. I could sing, so I was like, I know I have some musicality in there somewhere. But I was like, I am just going to try it. I always just thought these girls are so confident, and I would just love to have a tiny piece of that somehow. So I do this drop-in class. I left, and I was like, whoa, this was not for me. I am horrible at this. But the girlies convinced me to sign up for like an actual program. The pandemic and all this kind of stuff. So I ended up doing the first little bit of my dance program in my living room on my laptop, which I think was really good for me because I got like a little bit comfortable with looking at myself moving, which I think is like the biggest in class barrier. Once you finally get to class, is you spend a lot of your class looking at yourself in this big old mirror, and you're looking at your body and you're contorting it in ways that you wouldn't normally. And you're probably wearing leggings and like your shirt's riding up. So you're kind of like, oh, I don't like how my body looks in that way. So I had to get comfortable, basically. It's like I had to go back from when I was all excited about different parts of my body. I had to go back a little bit further and say, well, I enjoy being here. And look how strong you're getting. And forget about the things I didn't like until I could come back and remember I did like those parts. And now I have like moved up 3 levels in the program. I am basically naked on stage all the time. I'm naked all the time. I have like found myself to be so strong and feel so celebrated in like this amazing program. I'm in 2 dance programs now, 3 different types of classes. Like dance was like just another proof. It was more proof of like how amazing my body is and how people could see me shining in times when I couldn't see myself shining. It like I feel like dance and then debate and like this moment on the floor. These are like all moments in time that have really changed trajectories of my life and just continue to turn me into this entity that I am today, which is like so different than who I was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Turned you into this like badass woman that you are over there. Like every time I see you post from your dance shows, it's like, wow, like that is confidence. One, you're right, like wearing very little clothing on stage in front of people when society tells us that that is not what an optimal beautiful woman should do. Like hide yourself, sit in the corner and shut up, right? Like you were doing all the opposite things of what society tells us a woman should do. And that is like amazing. Like that is so freaking cool that you can stand up against society's pressures to be yourself. And I love that you said, I actually like my body. And I know that that isn't something that came easy. It takes time and effort. And it's something that as my body has been changing, I've been starting to learn a little bit more on too. Is there anything like that I could do today to like my body a little bit more?
Well, I think the thing that seems maybe counterproductive about learning to love your body is that your like physical self is the least interesting thing about you. And when you think about when you go to the mall or you go to the pool or something like that, I can't think of not one single person I ever saw there in my brain. I don't like how unremarkable is everybody's body in a sea of bodies. Nobody remembers any of that. The only person thinking about it is yourself. And like how valuable that time and space that you use to think about that could be used on listening to music or writing poems or talking to people like your friends. And none of those things, songs or dances, like none of that cares about what your butt looks like when you don't have any clothes on. Nobody cares about any of that. And I guess like it's not that that's a switch that could just so easily turn off, which is the thing. It's like giving yourself grace. I mean, certain times of the month, I look in the mirror and I'm still like, oh, she is looking like a potato today. But I just like give myself grace to that, you know? Where it's not a perfect thing. It's like every single day you have to remind yourself that this is the body that allows you to do all these incredible things in your life. And also, how great are we to have, I have this amazing partner who, even though I'm like, I am actually a spud, he looks at me and is like, pretty sexy spud, you know? Like, we don't see ourselves like other people see us, you know?
Yes.
We
You
are
are
a
pretty
flawed
sexy spud.
mirror. Yeah. You're a sexy spud too. Well, not spud. Sometimes I feel like spud.
We're all sexy spuds. We just recorded a podcast episode before this for Anna's podcast, and we talked about being a potato with legs, and I just love that. Like, I think it's just funny. And it's not like a way to like downplay our beauty. It's just sometimes we feel like that, like a potato with legs, and like you are a sexy spud. And
It's just, I
like
feel
in
like
a
it's just
good
realistic.
way.
Yeah.
I think it's a
It's
good
like
thing.
every day is not hot girl day.
It's not, but like potatoes are always delicious.
Yes. We are not, I am not more or less valuable because I feel a certain way about my body. And I'm not more or less valuable because my body looks a certain way compared to somebody else. Because the thing that I think we forget is that the person who I am like, wow, she has the most perfect body I ever seen. She's also spending 50% of her day thinking about how she's a potato. So we have to just remember these are our own personal experiences. And I just feel like my time is worth more than thinking about how many dimples are in my belly.
Yeah. If we were to add that to our plate of Chinese food dinner, like just add on like hating my body on top of that plate too, you're going to have to lose a few more extra chicken balls. Like you're wasting
Yeah.
that space of all of these beautiful things that you do. You're wasting that space with hatred towards your body when you could take those chicken balls and eat them and make space for something really, really beautiful and really, really exciting. I think we're both kind of hungry. It is dinner time when we're recording this. So, like,
It
I'm
is,
a little
yeah.
hungry. I'm not
I
going to lie
actually
to
have
you.
my supper in the oven.
Oh, I love that. So, you're ready to go right after
I am.
this. I would love to know, like, what is the best thing that you've learned from truly loving yourself out loud?
I think that I am so resilient,
Mm.
and that like the last 2 years, besides global pandemic, a bunch of other kind of like once in a lifetime things have happened to me in my life that have been really, really difficult. They have been shitty cards that kind of make you look around and think, how come nobody else is getting this like spoopy hand? I just don't understand. Why me? And it's like, well, because why not you, first of all? And also, these experiences have allowed me to feel more confident in like my decision making and setting boundaries. It's like all of these things add to my journey and just make me more confident. It's like more proof. It's like it's always for me goes back to the proof. It's just like I'm constantly looking to prove to myself that I can do it. And the delusional part that says, well, you can do it, it's like when you get to that hard part, it's like you've only proven, here we are today, alive, looking at each other. We have survived every single thing that life has ever thrown at us, good, bad, or indifferent. You only have proof that you can do it. So, like, this is just one more thing. Not spending time hating yourself, even if you spend it thinking about something else while you're slowly chipping away at that little bit of ice, like that is like such a success story. And we would never talk to other people like your mom, your best friend, your partner. We would never talk to them how we internalize and talk to ourselves. And so, like, pretend you're not you for a little while. Don't say anything to yourself that you would say, like, if you wouldn't talk to your mom like that, don't say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to your little grandmother. You know, be kind to a person while you're building and learning how to figure out how to get there. I mean, I'm 32. I have been hating my body since I was in probably grade one, you know? Like what a lifetime of personal like trauma that you've like dumped on yourself and mean words that you've said in your heart that you have to slowly chip away. That's not like a turnaround. This is like an ever ending project that you're constantly working on. And I do really identify as somebody who feels really confident in themselves and like true in myself, but it's because I've been working on it a long time and I actively work on it every single day.
And do you think it's worth it to make the time to work on it?
Yes, because I cannot be Yellow Rose and Rosa Tree and a fiance and a daughter and, you know, good to myself and doing my morning routine. I can't be this person if I don't work on myself every single day because, like, that's
Mm.
the foundation of my house. You can't let the foundation crumble. And it's the same with like taking your vitamins every day and eating your breakfast and drinking your water. Like you're just fueling yourself and you have to prioritize that because if not, yeah, you're just not going to keep growing.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love watching you, period, creepily outside your window all the time, 24/7.
Knock on the window,
I,
Jess.
yes, hello, let me in. What's for dinner? I
It's
just
not for
do.
free.
Perfect. I can't wait. I love watching what you're doing, and as the woman that you are, like as a successful entrepreneur and, you know, about to get married and all the beautiful things. It's just you are an incredible human, and it is just really, really cool to see that. If you could go back again, and we talked about this a little earlier, but like just think of like Anna from last year, 1 year ago when we met, what would you tell her today?
Um, I will. Last year at this time, I just started my counseling journey. Um, I was just starting going through counseling for a assault that I had gone through, and I was in a really dark, horrible place. And I went to Shift with Gina and Emily as like a hallelujah, I need help moment, because as much as I was working on all of these things, I did not know how to work on them. And Gina said to me that maybe when I had asked her a question about like, how do I grow my business when I'm under the big flooding rain cloud? Like, what do you do? And she said to me in front of all of these people, when I was like, my hands were shaking as I was talking on the mic to her, I felt so vulnerable and like open in that moment, that maybe this is not the year for business growth. This is not the year for trips and fancy new dresses and all this kind of stuff. This is the year that you get your house in order and go to your counseling and like do all these things. And so like take your, like, how can you exist in winter when you're have seasonal depression, or like how can you exist in a time that feels so uncomfortable and you don't know what to do because you have to get all these emotions out? And I literally just got my house in order. I started getting the house in order and going to counseling and taking my sad girl vitamins for the winter, and prioritizing getting outside and like evaluating, like sitting down and just thinking what makes me happy, and noticing in my body when I was in rooms or spaces with people or eating food that I just made me feel like happy dance, and fresh air makes me feel like happy dance. It's like all of these tiny things that I thought at the time were not as important as like just, I don't know, making more money or like feeling more confident and figuring it all out. All of those things I did this year. And how amazing that the January Anna from this year was not in the same sad place as January Anna last year. It's just, I don't know. I guess I would tell her that to give yourself grace, and you don't always have to be the number one in everything, because you can't be the number one in anything if you don't have all your stuff in order. Like, you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I have been focusing on that, and it has really been paying off.
Oh, I love that. And even just to think about 1 year of transformation, like so much can happen in 1 year. And it's been beautiful watching you shine. I've only known you now for a year, so it's just so cool to just see all of the things that you're doing and everything that's coming to light. Can you tell our listeners where they can connect with you, where they can find you in person, in your store, online, for those who are not in Newfoundland, and also what they can expect from your podcast?
Yes, which I didn't even mention earlier. God, this is so me. My brain is off in space. So I did start a podcast. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify. It's called the Yellow Rose Colored Glasses Podcast, all about confidence and like living in that little bit delulu yellow rose colored glasses so that you can find happiness and joy in your life in all the different ways. Some seriously amazing, amazing, amazing guests, including Jess, going to be this weekend. I also own Yellow Rose Made, MADE, on the Instagram. But if you really want to connect with me and find the links for all the other things, you can just find me on Instagram, which is MurphyAnna016, Anna Murphy, and you will find me and all the foolishness. And if you're in St. John's, Newfoundland, come to a dance class with me. Let's go do the thing together. Justin, you come. We should do a dance class together.
Yes. And where's your boutique?
It's on Duckworth Street, 214 Duckworth Street, in St. John's, Newfoundland. Or you can find us at yellowrosemade.ca. And yeah, come have a chat. I have an amazing candy bowl, and I always want to have a chat and share crazy stories with people. Even if you're not shopping, you just want a spirit exchange, please come and have a chat with me.
I'm coming in for some candy. I already have like my bucket list for my next trip to Newfoundland. It is to come to your boutique and to do a dance class with you, like top of the list, and eat some candy with you. That's
and
the
you
dream.
met my teacher at Shift as well, Heidi.
Yes, I did. So I am terrified to do it, but I feel inspired by you, and I want to try.
It's amazing just like being in a room where everybody is like looking at themselves in the mirror and thinking, oh, I messed that arm up. Oh, I did this. But everyone is just cheering you on. It's like such a genuine, happy connection. It's really a special space.
Oh, I can't wait. That sounds so wonderful. So I have a couple questions that I ask every guest that comes on the podcast. You ready?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay. So first question is, what is your favorite compliment to receive?
That I have like a good energy. or like
You
a good
do.
spirit, that I feel good for
Y-
people.
yes.
Or
You are.
also that I feel safe and non-judgmental. That's another thing that I really pride myself in.
I was just going to say you have a safe energy.
Yeah.
We put two of
People
those things
always tell
together.
me their secrets, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
because not even in like a gossipy sort of way, but
Mm-hmm.
just in a way like I've never told anyone this before, and I feel really special to be like chosen by people in that way.
I love that so much. Yeah, it is a beautiful gift to be able to be that space for people. What's your favorite thing to boost your mood when you're feeling grumpy?
The number one thing that will always boost my mood is listening to September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I will request it always in every single way. I start my day with a Happy Girl playlist, and it's the number one song. When my feet hit the floor, it's to September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. And there's nobody that can feel good listening to that song.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
And you have like a playlist on Spotify with all these songs, right?
Yes. And it's on my LinkedIn, which is linked off my profile.
Can you send it to me and then I can put it in the show notes so everybody can also start their day
Totally.
with your playlist?
Yes. It's a good pump up. Yeah. It's
I love
definitely
it.
not a soft start.
Well, good. Good. I have another question, but you might have already answered it because I was going to say, do you have a song or a quote that boosts your confidence?
Well, the one thing I will share my favorite quote if that's okay.
Please do.
That around that time, like before we went to shift, I was listening to BOCM, which is like the local St. John's radio station here, and there was a guy on sharing a quote, and he said that he had struggled with drug addiction, and he was like really trying to get his life back together, and somebody had said to him, "Just because it's not your fault doesn't mean it's not your responsibility."
Oof.
And that really changed my thinking and how I think about my relationships with other people, with family, with things people have done to me in the past. It's like, it doesn't matter what people have done to you. It's your responsibility to clean it up in your heart, in your mind, and move forward from there. So that was something that I really think about all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're working on some stuff over here, and I love
Yeah,
it. I love
always
it.
work in progress, always.
Yes. Thank you for being here, Anna, for taking some time to share your light, share your truth, to share the story that you have, and for just being real, like being vulnerable
Thank
with us.
you.
Like, what a gift it is to really know you. So, thank you for being here. And for those listening, I will put all of Anna's information in the show notes so you can check her out, you can connect with her, and you can go check out a dance class with her and shake your butt and wear no clothes if you want.
Or
She
wear
likes that.
sweatpants, wear whatever you like, but I will have no clothes on. Well, I have some
Not
clothes on. I have
literally,
some
or
clothes on.
maybe.
Yeah,
She'll have
no,
some clothes on. We don't want to scare everybody, but like,
no.
she'll have some. But you'll like it. You'll like it.
Yeah, it'll be good. Come with me, please.
Yes. Thank you for being here, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me. This was really beautiful way to spend part of my day.
What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.